Hey guys, welcome to Bad X Ginger Gaming. I'm of course Bad X Ginger, glad to have you here. Today on Pokemon Day, Pokemon Presents livestream. It was announced that Pokemon Winds and Waves would be switched to exclusive titles, which, to be fair, that makes sense. Um, I think that probably allows for a better end product, less rush, less things for the devs to be doing in the first place, ramping up until release, right? If all they're doing is concentrating on getting it done for the Switch 2 and not multiple generations of consoles at once. So I get it. Kind of holding out hope that they wouldn't do it that way, but that's fine. Um, Makes sense for them. That's okay. That's not really anything for me to complain about. I've been playing Nintendo games since I was a child. My first console was an NES, gifted to me by a dear family friend. The first game I ever played was Super Mario Brothers. Then the international craze that was Pokemon came. If you're not old enough to have experienced it yourself back then, you can't possibly understand how Pokemon captured everyone's hearts when it came out. It was just so crazy. Right from the get go, it just launched into being just this beloved franchise. Um, it consumed the whole of my generation, millennials, right? The anime, the cards, the merch, the games. When the games came out, it changed everything. My parents bought me the special Pikachu edition Game Boy Color. It's like the yellow front with like on the border of the screen, it's got like Pikachu, Jigglypuff, Togepi, um, and it's got like blue on the back, right? And it came with Pokemon Yellow version bundled, um, and a ton of Pokemon cards um, at the mall, on Christmas Eve, which was just a normal thing for us to do back then in the '90s. Everybody would Sears, the mall, on Christmas Eve, doing Christmas shopping together as like a family experience. It was a different time. They did the same for me when Silver and Gold came out, buying me a Silver version. When I got older, of course, I bought it myself, right? Even going so far as to go back and get the ones I didn't get a chance to play at the time of the release because I was, I don't know, broke at the time or whatever the reason was, right? It's always been my favorite game franchise. I've played every generation of it since it began, and I have a physical copy of almost every version. There's just such a sense of joy, magic, adventure to it. It makes you feel like the world of Pokemon's limitless and makes you long for it to be real. Fast forward to now. I'm watching it with my daughter all the time. She loves the plushies. She's got far too many of them. Um, I've been slowly building up my physical collection of Pokemon DVDs, much to my wife's chagrin. Hell, I bought my daughter a new Pokemon coloring book as recently as yesterday. She's super into it. I'm super into it. Um, it's great. So suffice it to say, Nintendo's held a pretty special place in my heart for more than 30 years. Pretty much my whole life. Then Switch 2 came out. Price for the console itself was $450 at launch, while the PS5 and Xbox Series X were $500 at launch, and still the Switch 2 is generations behind its competitors, charging 70, 80, $90 for Switch 2 games. That's an okay thing to do. All the games never go on sale the way the Xbox PS5 games do, because they seem to think that their products are the only invention in existence to be immune to depreciation and natural market forces. The Joy-Con stick drift issues were completely ignored and will plague the Switch 2, just as they did with the Switch. To ignore such a basic thing is disrespectful to the consumer, just point blank period. Lastly, we come to the deal breaker for me. Game key cards. To not have the option to buy physical Switch 2 games is unacceptable. You buy a game key card and all you get is a download code inside a case. What is that? With game key cards, yeah, you bought it with your money, but is it really yours? How can you really say you own something intangible that Nintendo can freely take from you remotely with the click of a mouse at their discretion? And that's saying nothing of how Pokemon Red and Leaf Green were handled. $20 per version when it's just a port of a 20-year-old ROM with home connectivity. And when Red, Blue, Yellow, and Gold, Silver, and Crystal were $10 ROMs on the 3DS, I might have bought it if it was an actual physical cartridge, but a game key card, that's just exploitation deployed while holding nostalgia hostage. And there's no way around that. For anyone rushes to the defense of the world's richest, most successful video game franchise, as they charge double the price of what they charge for the ports of Generation 1 and 2 games, understand that's precisely why they feel they can get away with behavior like this. I'm not interested in arguing with people that'll defend Nintendo no matter what they do. I'm too old for that. I don't have time for it. I don't have patience for it. I don't need it in my life. I am interested in getting better games and in the younger generations getting to experience something akin to the golden age of gaming that I experienced growing up. Yes, I've got $20, of course, but it's the principle. It's about respect. I'll just play it on my Game Boy Advance, thanks. Like, I'm good. The way that the Switch 2 has been handled in general is just another example of many of the anti-consumer behaviors that have just become so typical of Nintendo in recent years. Now that brings me to the background NPC, who, if you don't know, you should check out. First of all, I'll link her channel below. I discovered her through one of Asmon's videos. He's doing a reaction, right? And she's basically talking about similar subject matter, Nintendo's behavior, really, in recent years. And she described it. I've never heard a better description of it. It's just perfect. Weaponized nostalgia. Never forget it. And that's truly what it feels like. But it's more than that for me. I've always looked forward to playing these games with my kids. I hoped that they would still be making new Pokemon games when the time came for me to be a father. I wanted to share the joy of playing through new installments in the franchise with my daughter and any additional children I might be blessed with in the future. I feel robbed of that. I feel robbed of what I've been looking forward to for so long. It feels like more than weaponized nostalgia to me. It feels like betrayal. Of course, I'll play previous generations with the kids, but just this feeling that, like, this is it, is profoundly disappointing. I refuse to buy the Switch 2. I just refuse to do it because of Nintendo's disrespect for the consumer that I touched on earlier. Unfortunately, with Pokemon Winds and Waves being Switch 2 exclusive, that necessarily means that this will be the first generation of Pokemon games that I just have no intention of buying. And that's a first for me. It makes me really sad. I gotta admit, complaints, whatever, without a call to action are but sound and fury, signifying nothing. I know things look like they're on a downward trend for gamers lately, but don't black pill. There's always hope, so do not let this get you down. We have to stand firm as a united front and push back on this sort of anti-consumer behavior. For me, that means not buying the Switch 2 and the 10th generation Pokemon games that I love, until such time as my grievances are addressed. There are more of us than there are of them, and they need to be reminded of that. We'll get through it, so don't lose hope, all right? With that, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that it gave you some semblance of validation and resonance. If you did, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe, of course. If you are free, I stream to YouTube and Twitch from about 9:30 p.m. to midnight on Central on Tuesdays and weekends. Y'all are always welcome to drop in. Lastly, if you like rock or metal and enjoy watching covers of the songs you love, drop by my other channel, Bad Axe Ginger, and have a listen. I hope you like it. That's all I've got. Thank you again, and see you next time.